So we're going to be looking at Trigger.dev. Trigger.dev is a code-first orchestration platform, and we're going to be able to write some TypeScript to define some tasks and use that to execute workflows in Tinybird. And so we're going to look at how we could use that with copy jobs. In Tinybird, copy jobs are basically batch executed queries. And while Tinybird has some basic native cron scheduling, if you want to get into more complicated workflows, that's where you're going to need something like Trigger.dev. So what we're going to be looking at is this kind of flow. So we have a original copy job, which is going to create a table. And then we have another copy job, which is dependent on the result of the previous one to do something. So that's something we need Trigger for. Now, if you go to this Git repo, you'll find some example task definitions for Trigger. And we're going to use those today. So this is what the copy task looks like. And basically what it's doing is it's going to take a pipe ID, which is the ID of the copy pipe that you've published in Tinybird, and it's going to hit the pipes API to execute an on-demand run of a copy pipe. Now, copy pipes are asynchronous, so the request to trigger it doesn't sit there and wait for the response because it doesn't know how long it's going to take. So it returns a job ID, and you have to use a job ID to go and work out whether the copy is completed or not. So we'll hit that, we'll get a job ID, and then we'll basically go into a loop to say, go to the job API with our job ID and check whether the status is success or not. There's an amount of retries that we'll do, so there's a timeout on that. And once we get a successful response, we'll return true. So there's also an example executor file, which has just got a bunch of examples of how to use the different tasks. So let's take a look at actually building our chained copy. So I'm just going to copy that stub for executing the copy from there. And we're going to use trigger and wait, which is basically to say, trigger this task and then just wait for it to return, right? Which is what we want to do. We want these to be kind of this is a synchronous workflow, basically. And so to do that, I need my copy pipe ID. So I'll come back to Tinybird, and my first one in the chain is test copy. So I'll copy the ID, paste that in, and that's going to go away and execute my first copy. So then if that returns successfully, I want to go and execute my chain copy. So to do that, I'm basically going to do the same thing, but I want to know my copy result. Okay. And paste that in again, because I'm just going to go do the same thing. But this is going to end up being 1, and then also complete that. And then I need my second ID, so that's test chained copy there. And I'll copy that ID and paste that in. So that's pretty much it, right? I mean, it's very basic, but that's going to go and execute one copy, and then if that returns true, it's going to go and execute the second copy. All right, and then all I need to do to start testing that is run this. So that's going to push that up to Trigger. And then I can come back to Trigger, and we'll see here now I've got all my tasks and I've got my chained copy, and I'm going to test that, run the test. And so it's going to kick it off, and I'm going to get this nice like timeline view to be able to see how my tasks are executing. So it executed the original copy job, and then it sat here waiting for the status check, and that's returned true, which we can see here. And then it's kicked off the second one once that's finished, and that's gone through and executed. And so, with a couple of lines of code, we've created a chained copy job workflow.